I'm 46 years old. I run multiple businesses. I create content. I coach high achieving entrepreneurs. I'm a present father to my kids. And by 6 p.m., I still have energy left over. Most people my age are dragging their asses by 2 p.m. They're on their fourth coffee. They're foggy in meetings. They come home and just collapse on the couch. And I'm operating at my best not because I have better genetics than them, it's because I have a better operating system. So today I'm gonna work you through my entire health stack. Everything I do from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep that helps me outthink, outlast, and outwork people half my age. And this isn't theory, this is actually what I do every day. And it starts the night before. So most people think that energy is what you do in the morning, and they're completely wrong. And your morning is won or lost at 7 p.m. So here's my evening protocol, and I did talk about it in this video over here. And this is what I call the sundown switch, and this is not optional. It is necessary. Once the sun goes down, I'm putting my blue light blockers on, and I'm also dimming the lights. We are also shutting down all forms of screens, because if there's anything that you know about blue light is that it just completely wrecks your sleep. When you have bright light, or if you're looking at blue light without any type of protection that's covering your eyes, you're basically saying to your nervous system and your circadian rhythms that it is time to stay awake. This is going to destroy your melatonin, and it's going to destroy your sleep, which is going to destroy your next day. Now, before bed, I don't know about you, but I can have a lot of thoughts going on in my brain. I'm inherently a thinker. So before going to bed, I want to brain dump everything that's in my head. And I bring out my journal, and this is what I write. And I'm writing out 4 specific things. It's going to be 3 tasks that I have to do tomorrow to move myself forward. It's going to be 1 win from the day. I can also do multiples if I feel like I've had a really good day. The next one will be 1 point of tension that I'm holding on to, and 1 thing that I am grateful for. This takes 5 minutes, and I found that being able to dump these thoughts onto paper before I go to sleep leads to less stress and less anxiety, and also a better morning. It just prevents my brain from thinking of all the things I got to do, or that person who cut me off, earlier in the day.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. Get back there.
And I'm able to just dump it onto the page and just divert that energy onto it. And also, one of the most underrated parts is creating the 3 tasks that you know are going to move you forward. And this pretty much sets up your next day to hit the ground running. Now, something I already know is that I'm a dad and I have 2 beautiful children. And one of the things that we do for our kids is you read to them right before they go to sleep. And I'm going to be honest, this isn't just for them, it's actually for me. Because what it does is it shifts me out of work mode and it shifts me into presence mode. And I find that after I've read to them, it's almost like a win-win, because they get to read the story. They get to have their parents read to them, which studies show that is a net positive for their development. And also what it does for me is it allows my nervous system to downshift. Once we get the kids ready for bed and we read to them, it's on to stepping into my optimal sleep environment. And it's quite simple just setting this up. Number 1 is your room has to be cold. I'm talking 65 to 67 degrees. I know for some people that's really cold. So for my wife, who runs a little bit more colder than I do, we actually get her an extra blanket. And along with making sure my environment is cold, I'm making sure that I'm doing my best to sleep in a blacked out room. And I enhance the effect of the blackout by wearing a sleep mask. Now, I've talked about this in a previous video. Sleep masks are one of the best things you can do to improve your sleep. This one is called an Alaska Bear mask, and it's one of my favorite masks because I'm a side sleeper. And the contours that you see around the mask over here allow you to block more blue light from getting into your eyeballs. Now, the weirdest thing I do when it comes to my sleep is wear a piece of mouth tape. So I bought this generic brand off of Amazon, and every single night I take one of these out and I put it on my mouth like so. All right, like this. Put it another way, I just wasted the mouth tape just for the sake of this YouTube video. Totally cool.
Cool. No doubt.
Now, the reason I wear mouth tape, I know it sounds ridiculous, is because I've actually found that I was a mouth breather. And the mouth tape actually forces myself to use my nose. And I gotta tell you, I actually talked about it in this video over here, where I used to be a horrible nasal breather. Actually, just breathing through my nose was super uncomfortable. And then once I started getting used to mouth tape and also breathing through my nose, I realized that nasal breathing, or becoming a nasal breather, is something that you practice, and your nose gets so much stronger the more that you use it. It's almost like a muscle. And I have done the tests with mouth tape and without mouth tape, And anytime that I've used mouth tape, it has always increased the quality of my sleep through using a sleep tracker like Aura or Whoop. Now, when it comes to my phone, I basically put it in exile. I make sure that my phone charges in a completely separate room. And the only reason I do this is because if it is within arm's reach, I know I'm going to grab for it. And something I also do is I try to just stay away from anything that is going to stimulate me mentally. If I go on Slack or if I go on email and if I see the wrong thing and it creates this open loop inside of my brain, or if I go on X and I just see this thing that's just fear mongering, I am going to have a bad night of sleep. So I make sure that I just avoid all that stuff by putting my phone in a completely separate room. And once all of that stuff is done, I want to make sure that I am at least reserving time to go and connect with my wife. Something I realize is that we're so damn busy throughout the entire day that sometimes it's hard to just reconnect with each other. And the nighttime, even though as tired as we are, it is one of the best times that we can do this. And this is part of the reason why we get rid of the phone, because if you have the phone there, you're not going to have presence. And my relationship matters to me. So this is the reason why we do it. And before I go to sleep, I'm making sure I'm reading a fiction book or a biography. And the one I'm reading right now, I'm actually rereading it. It's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And there's a big reason why I'm rereading it. With the books that you read, the best ones, you have to reread it in order to further integrate these lessons into you. That's the evening. Now, let's talk about the morning, where most people get it completely wrong. So I aim to wake up between 5 to 5:30 a.m. And the reason I wake up at this time is because I actually want to wake up before my kids wake up. And I've found that as a parent, especially one that is highly productive, you have two choices. You either stay up really late at night and get your stuff done, or you wake up really early. And I'm not going to talk shit on any one of them because as a parent, that's not me to judge. But for me, I get my best work in the morning. Now, before that, for the first 30 to 60 minutes, I am still away from my phone. I don't touch it. No Slack, no email, no social media, nothing. Because if I do, this is going to put me on someone else's agenda instead of attending to mine. Literally, the moment you check your phone is the moment you give control to someone else's demands on your time. It's almost like you're giving them your brain. And I've also found that when I do this, it actually turns me more like reactive instead of proactive. Whenever I wake up in the morning, I have to protect my mind because that is my most valuable asset. And also I look at focus as these units of willpower that we had throughout the day. If you're giving out your units to, let's just say, the processed food of the mind, then you're not saving it enough of it for the stuff you really want to create in this world. So no phone. I'm going to the bathroom, I'm doing my business, and the first thing I'm doing after I'm done with the bathroom is I'm stepping on my scale. And each day I make sure I track the one health KPI that I have control over and that can give me a clear representation and also just keep me honest. And admittedly, like I'm actually doing this from Mexico right now. We're on a little bit of a winter trip, and I have actually brought a travel scale with me in order to keep on tracking this health KPI. Let me show you. So here is the travel scale I use. It fits into my luggage and I step on it every single day. And I have to say, like, usually when people go on, say, vacations like this, or when they step away from their normal, let's just say, routine, this is actually the one thing that can keep them honest. Because if you aren't measuring, then you're not managing. And you got to track one thing that is going to keep you honest when it comes to your health. And to me, weight is the easiest one. That's why I carry this thing around. All right. Now, depending on the time zone, if there's sunlight out there, I'm going to get myself out and just get a little bit of sun into my eyeballs. That is one of the best ways to entrain your circadian rhythm to say, hey, what's up? It's time to be awake. I gotta say, if you're waking up groggy every day, this is a massive game changer. Morning sunlight is one of the most underrated performance enhancers on the planet, and it's free. Now, that being said, it's the winter time right now. So the sun only comes up in Mexico at around, I would say, 7 a.m. So I'm doing something different, which is a red light and meditation combo to start my day. I talked about red light in this video over here of my top health lessons from 2025. And red light therapy to me is an emerging therapy because it helps improve mitochondrial function, which basically helps your cells create more energy. And I'm stacking it with meditation because, again, I think a lot. So I need something like meditation to help calm my thoughts down, especially in the morning. It's a 2-for-1. It's a win-win. And that's why it's a regular part of my routine. And before anyone asks, the red light therapy device that I use, I actually got it from one of my friends when I was traveling in Vietnam. He got me one from China. I don't know the brand. I wish I could tell you. After that, I am hydrating. I'm drinking water with electrolytes. I never put coffee into my body first. And the reason I do that is because your body's already producing cortisol. You don't need to add more fire to the one that's already created. And I actually find that delaying my coffee by around 1 to 1.5 hours upon waking, or maybe even longer, it actually helps me delay the benefits that I get from it. And it's just common sense. If you're drinking your coffee later, it's going to last you until later in the day. Now, when it comes to the coffee, I am actually adding something really cool. It's 400 milligrams of L-theanine inside of it. And what L-theanine does is that it smooths out the caffeine. It gives you the focus without the jitters or anxiety, depending on how much you've taken in. It's an absolute game changer. I'm probably going to do a video on this, so just make sure you're subscribed. That's probably going to come out a little bit later. Now, in terms of supplement, here's the stack that I'm on. 10 to 15 grams of creatine. I talked about it in this video over here. I just found for the body and the brain, that's the amount that gives me the most benefit. Again, creatine is not just for the muscles, it is actually fuel for the brain. And the emerging research on the cognitive benefits that you get from it are overwhelming. I take omega-3s for my brain health and to reduce inflammation. I take collagen for my joints and also my skin health. I think my skin's looking pretty good. What do you think? Now I'm going to get a bunch of comments talking shit about my skin. I take CoQ10 for my heart and cellular energy production. And if I'm not living in a sunny place like Mexico, I think the last time I was in Vietnam, it was a little bit gloomy. I was high dosing vitamin D along with K2. But now I'm in Mexico. I don't need vitamin D because I get plenty of it in the sun. So we're not taking it. And this is the stack. There's nothing exotic, nothing expensive, and it's just the basics that actually work. And by the way, I'm not on any GLP-1s or peptides or anything of that nature. I have nothing against them. I just don't feel like putting them into my body or feel the need to. So before I start work, I actually do a few light minutes of journaling. I learned this from one of my friends. His name is Dan Clark. He runs Brain FM, super smart guy. He knows so much about the brain. And he actually taught me this, which I have found to be super beneficial. And something I realized that I find with a lot of people who are like, eat the frog, you got to do the most important thing first. I find that I actually need a ramp up before I'm able to do that effectively. So when I'm journaling, I'm getting my thoughts flowing, and it's essentially like doing a brain warm up before getting into the heavy lifting. And during this time, I'll also go on X and I'll send a spicy tweet. I mean, it's one of the things that I just love doing, and I'll send it, but I won't look at any of the engagements. This is just something I do to get my creative brain engaged. And then I enter into what I call deep work block number 1. So now that my brain is ready, I'm ready to do 90 minutes to 2 hours of deep work. No calls, no meetings, no interruptions. This is when I do my hardest thinking when it comes to writing, strategy, anything that involves my full cognitive power. 90 minutes to 2 hours, uninterrupted, every single day. And then once I'm done that deep work block, this is usually the time when the kids wake up. So around 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I'm going to be with the kids, getting them ready, getting them breakfast. And then once that's done, I am back to deep work block number 2 around 9 a.m. And once that second deep work block is over, I am into my afternoon system. Now, quick thing before I get into the afternoon, if you're watching this and thinking, damn, I got to get my health dialed in, I built something for you. It's called the High Performance Health Audit, and it's free, takes about 5 minutes, and it scores you across 7 dimensions when it comes to your body composition, energy, sleep, nutrition, training, stress, and overall health efficiency. You'll see exactly where you're winning and where you are leaving some energy on the table. So link is in the description. Take it right after this video. Moving on. So after I'm done deep work block number 2, I'm usually getting into lunch. I'm usually eating. And something you have to understand about me is that I put my meals on a schedule. Most people don't think about this, but when they eat haphazard meals and when they eat at random times, it's like their body doesn't know when to be hungry and when to be full. So I have 3 specific times I eat, around 7 to 8 a.m. The other one is around 11 to 12:30 p.m. And the other one is going to be around 4:30 to around 5 p.m. So once I'm done lunch, I'm getting back to my desk. And what I'm doing is I'm actually going to get a brief walk-in on my under the desk treadmill. And the biggest reasons I do this is for my blood sugar and my brain. So you probably know this already, but walking after eating regulates your blood sugar and it prevents the afternoon crash that usually happens when you put food into your body. And because I'm baking in steps into my work, it allows me to get work done while I'm also baking in movement into my day. And the more times that I do this, it just becomes obvious to keep on doing this. It's usually adding around 4,000 to sometimes 6,000 steps per day. Usually end the days anywhere between 8,000 to 12,000 steps. And let me tell you, aside from the steps, which we know are important, the way I feel after my workday when I do this is 10 times better than when I don't. It's going from not having energy to having a shit ton of energy. This combined with the little walk breaks that I take after my deep work sessions, it is just something that keeps my brain working at its full potential. Now, when it comes to productivity, I have to protect my deep work blocks. So I usually schedule all my calls from mid-afternoon to around 2 p.m. And this protects my mornings for my deep work, and it leaves me the opportunity to get back onto my walking treadmill and to do walking meetings. I would say around 1:30, 2 p.m. is when I like to get my workout in. This is actually when I find that I am the strongest. And circadian research also points to this being the case for an athlete's performance. And I know some people swear by morning workouts because honestly, that is like the only time that they can do it. And also they find that they get this little energetic bump from it. I particularly don't. I love afternoon workouts instead. I've tested both and I'm not fighting my biology. I'm just going to work with it. And then right after training, it's probably around 3 p.m., 4 p.m. I'm just getting light work in. Emails, maybe a couple more calls, responding back to social media comments, and things that don't require me to do deep work with. Because I've created this operating system and because I've baked so much movement into my day, by the time I'm done my day around, let's just say like 3, 4, or 5, depending on what I'm doing, I feel fantastic. This allows me to have the energy to play with my kids. And also, it gives me an incredible relief of stress. And that is the opposite of what most people feel after they're done a workday. Now we get into the evening close. So early evening, we're preparing dinner. It could be steak, it could be chicken fingers inside of the air fryer. I'm usually the one that is cooking for my family. And yes, we're eating vegetables and all that good stuff as well. And I'll say this, I am doing my best to actually stay off of my phone to protect my family time. Now there's a caveat to this because right now I'm in Mexico and the schedule is changing a little bit. And the reason being is because I'm trying to bake in a habit of surfing while I am living here. So there is a slight modification to this where we're eating our dinners a little bit early, around 4 p.m. And this allows me to go from about 5 to around 6:37 to get a nice surf session. And I come back, we're running the bedtime protocol, and we start it all over again. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, Dan, this is a lot. I don't have the time for all of this. And here's what I tell my clients all the time. You don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something consistently. And I had a client who was a founder in his mid-40s, and he was running a $10 million a year company. And he came to me exhausted. He was gaining weight. His brain was just foggy by noontime. And his business was growing, but his body was failing. But we didn't overhaul everything at once. We started with 3 things: morning sunlight, more movement, and exercise. For him, it was actually in the morning because that's when he could get it done every single day. That's it. 3 changes. And within 3 weeks, he told me he had way more energy at 5 p.m. than he did at 10 a.m. Within 3 months, he dropped 27 pounds off of his body, and he was sleeping better than he had in a decade. So the stack I showed you today is the full picture. This is what I do, but you don't need the full picture to start. Pick one thing from each section: evening, morning, afternoon. Start there, build momentum, and then if you're feeling good, add more over time. The goal is not perfection. The goal is having an operating system that compounds. Now, if you found this valuable, you want to watch this next video over here where I take you through the exact plan we put clients on to get them into their best shape. Click here, and I'll see you on that video.